Herschel, the Daily Beast has updated the story about your paying for a woman's abortion. The anonymous woman has now also alleged that she had a child by you. Your response?
That's right. Turns out that the woman who has alleged that Herschel Walker got her pregnant and then urged for her to get an abortion and paid for said abortion also shares a child with Herschel Walker. And before we get to Herschel Walker's response to that question, I think it's important to give you guys a little bit of context because the Daily Beast caught up with this woman who still remains anonymous to get her thoughts on everything that's transpired since the groundbreaking story broke earlier this week, how she feels about the way he's handled it. And the woman whose years-long relationship with Walker continued after the abortion said that her chief concern was revealing her name, was because she was the mother of one of Walker's own children, and she wanted to protect her family's privacy as best as she could while also coming forward with the truth. Now, we learned about all of the secret children that Herschel Walker has, and apparently the child that they share together happens to be one of them. And we know that she says that she's tried to be a good sport. She's tried to kind of stay out of his campaign and the fact that he's trying to run for Senate, but she couldn't handle the fact that he kept pushing for legislation that would essentially do away with the right to get an abortion in any and all circumstances, even if a woman's life is in jeopardy, in danger as a result of the pregnancy. And so she says, quote, "I've been very civil thus far. I keep my mouth shut, I don't cause any trouble, I stay in the background, but I'm also not gonna get run over time and time again. That's crazy." So did Herschel Walker acknowledge this woman and the fact that they share a child together? How did he answer that question posed by Hugh Hewitt? Well, let's watch.
I know this is untrue. I know it's untrue, and they keep telling me things like that, and it's totally untrue. And I'm not sure why that will be told. I know nothing about any woman having an abortion, and so they can keep coming at me like that. And they're doing it because they want to distract people. I know that.
Right. Your longtime girlfriend it's a big conspiracy to distract people from what a wonderful campaign you're running. I'm sure that's what's going on. Cenk, this is the story that will not end.
Yeah. So of course, every Republican is going to vote for him anyway. They don't care. They've never cared about abortion. It's always been a lie. And so when they see that Herschel Walker did the equivalent of what? What do they call it? They call it murder, right? A lot of them are now trying to pass laws against not only doctors but women, and including women who had miscarriages. Okay, so and they say, oh, when it comes to women, now they hate doctors too. They treat just pandemics and they believe in vaccines and saving your life, and now they want to help women save their lives. No, boo, we hate doctors, we hate women. So now when Herschel Walker does the thing that they call murder, like, oh no, it's totally fine. No, he's one of us.
Yeah,
we're not trying to oppress him. He tells us all the things we want to hear about how blacks are no good and all these things, and he says he would oppress women too. Mission accomplished.
No, but I mean,
they literally don't even understand what we're talking about. What do you mean? They're like, what do you mean hypocrisy? They're like, he would oppress women like we want him to.
Just yesterday, Dana Loesch just gave the whole game away, and she was just like, don't care. She called this woman a skank. Okay, and then proceeded to say, I don't care, I would vote for him anyway, because then she lied and said, if Raphael Warnock remains in office, I mean, he wants to use our money to pay for everyone's abortion. She knows that's a lie. She knows that there's something called the Hyde Amendment, that taxpayer money doesn't go toward funding abortions, that's ridiculous. But nonetheless, it's not, again, as I said on the show yesterday, I've said it multiple times on the show, it ain't about abortion. The debate isn't actually about reproductive rights. It's about using that issue to accumulate power politically. And I think that everything that's transpired with Herschel Walker and a whole host of other scandals involving other Republican lawmakers, like Scott DeJarlais, a current Republican congressman who urged his wife and mistress to get abortions, they're all full of it, right? They don't care about it. They use it as a campaign tactic, and that's all it is.
Yeah, I mean, look, about Herschel Walker, the Republicans have never cared that he has clear, obvious mental health problems. In fact, he did an ad saying, I have mental health problems.
That's not the bug, it's the feature.
Yeah, and I'm sure that his poll ratings went up among Republicans. They're like, oh, he's crazy too. Ooh, just like Trump, we like this guy. And a pathological liar. He says, oh, this abortion, totally untrue. Really? Later, he said, well, I mean, if it did happen, kind of like OJ, we'll get to that in a second. So then, but like, guys, he doesn't know anything. And the fact that that doesn't bother Republicans is amazing. So I'm going to give you one example. It's adjacent to this story. So they're asking him about this issue, and Georgia Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan has criticized them on this issue. I'm going to read you his quote because it's fun. Remember, some of the Georgia Republicans are upset at Trump, so that's the context. He says, if we're being intellectually honest, this is the Republican Lieutenant Governor of Georgia. Herschel Walker won the primary because he scored a bunch of touchdowns back in the 80s, and he was Donald Trump's friend. Okay, so that is true. So then they asked Herschel Walker about it, and he says, oh, what's he doing now? And a reporter answers, he's the lieutenant governor. And then Walker says, yeah, but what is he doing now? Who's he working for? And the reporter's like, for the state of Georgia, he's the lieutenant governor. He doesn't understand that the lieutenant governor works for the state of Georgia. He doesn't know anything.
No, I mean, he'd fit right in. He'd fit right in with our Congress, with Senate.
Not the bug, the feature.
The feature, exactly. Now, let's get to other portions of the latest Daily Beast report, latest Daily Beast interview with this woman. She was asked about Herschel Walker's religious beliefs and whether or not he's actually sincere about how religious he is. And surprisingly, she says, no, he's pretty religious when it's convenient. Asked about the role faith played in Walker's life, the anonymous woman who identifies as a Christian herself said even though Walker often talked about Christianity, he uses it when it works for him, and he certainly has been talking about his faith quite a lot this week. She said Walker frequently talked about being a Christian, but never once expressed any misgivings about abortion generally or any regret about the one that they had. When she got pregnant again years later, the woman says she made a different choice, even though Walker said it still wasn't, quote, a convenient time for him. She says he didn't express any regret. That doesn't shock me at all. He said, quote, relax and recover. And that's the woman, of course, recalling the message, the get well card that Walker had sent her, along with the abortion payment. He seemed pretty pro-choice to me. He was pro-choice, obviously, she said. And finally, I want to give you another quote from her because I thought this was telling. She says, he didn't accept responsibility for the kid we did have together. That doesn't surprise me, especially since we didn't hear about these children until it came out through reporting. That says so much about how he views the role of women in childbirth versus his own. And now he wants to take that choice away from other women and couples entirely. So I think that it's brave of her to come forward because honestly, I have no doubt that her identity will probably be revealed at some point. And considering the amount of harassment Christian Walker has been dealing with recently from the Republican Party, I mean, instead of attacking Herschel Walker, they're attacking his son for being disgusted for what his father has been up to, how he's been lying. It's incredible. And if you see the kind of harassment he's dealing with, I have no doubt that if her identity is revealed, she's probably gonna deal with similar, if not worse, harassment. So it takes a lot of courage to come forward and share this story.
All right, so last couple of things. You mentioned Christian Walker. He's speaking out against his dad. So here are some, here's a GOP official close to Herschel Walker. They told the Atlanta Journal-Constitution that Christian Walker was, quote, a deeply disturbed kid with obvious issues of his own, who's a spoiled brat and is solely to blame if Herschel loses the race. So Herschel Walker's not to blame for getting the abortion and then being against abortion. His son is to blame for complaining that his dad had all these other kids and didn't tell him about it, wasn't helpful in raising him, in fact threatened violence against him. None of that is Herschel Walker's fault. It's his son's fault for complaining about what a monster his dad is. And he's just, but I want you guys to remember, the right wing loved Christian Walker a minute ago. Like literally, I went to New York, came back, And all of a sudden they went from loving Christian Walker, who does anti-gay, anti-black videos online all the time. They're like, yeah, that's right, we got a gay guy who's, I don't know if he's still, I don't know what he's pretending to be, but he's obviously gay. And oh, but he hates gay people. Yeah, we love that kid, right? Oh wait, he spoke out against one of our candidates, a spoiled brat, mouthy. In fact, I love that quote. I mean, this is old school South.
Yes, it is.
Okay, right around the conservative site, Red Site called Christian, quote, a mouthy, ungrateful little punk. In other words, hey, we were helping him with his career as long as he said the right things.
As long as he was a tool for the Republican Party, yes. And then finally, again, Herschel Walker gives the whole game away in this one statement during his interview with Hugh Hewitt, how he actually feels about abortion, whether or not people should feel any shame about it. Let's watch.
If that had happened, I would have said it, because there's nothing to be ashamed of there. You know, people have done that, but I know nothing about it. And if I knew about it, I would be honest and talk about it. But I know nothing about that.
I mean, if it had happened, there's no shame in it. I mean, I want to ban it, even in instances where a woman's life is in danger due to complications from that pregnancy. I would ban it. But there's no shame in it. I mean, I think it's murder, but there's no shame in it. I mean, this guy doesn't even know what he's talking about. And the idea of him being elected into office in an incredibly powerful institution like the Senate blows my mind. Having such a significant say over the personal lives of Americans all across this country, having a say over what I can do and can't do with my own body, insane, knowing what his history is. Knowing that he tries to take this mantle of self-righteousness, when in reality, I mean, all these children that he was trying to keep secret, paying for abortions while purporting that abortion is murder and it should be completely banned. I'm so sick of these disgusting, egotistical, power-hungry narcissists running for public office. We don't need them. We need actual leadership, people who want to look out for their fellow Americans, not these power-hungry lunatics. Sick of it.
Unfortunately, there isn't much we can do about it because Republican voters love them. They love pathological liars. They love people who don't know anything about government, anything about the job, and people who are, who have mental health issues. They can't get enough of them. So, mainstream media and others will say, Cenk, you can say bad things about Herschel Walker, but you cannot say it about the beloved Republican voters. Really? The overwhelming majority of them are about to show that they're going to vote for Herschel Walker and not give a damn. I mean, how much clearer did he have to make? Now, if I had known about it, it would be no big deal. There's no shame in it. I mean, is there any shame in murder? I mean, if I had murdered 7 people in their sleep earlier, there's no shame in it. There's no shame in it. No, by you saying we should pass a law that a woman cannot get an abortion even if she raped, even if she suffers incest, you're saying there's shame in it. That's why you pass a law against it, right? But of course, with conservatives, what is their #1 priority? Themselves.
Power.
So they're like, hey, when I got an abortion, it was convenient for me to pay for that abortion. I was super happy about it. My life was better. Now my life is better when I lie about my stance and get hateful Republicans to vote for me. So he's like, I don't even see the issue. So there they are, and the Republican voters go, amen, amen. We love/hate abortion. We're voting for Walker.
Yep.
Doesn't have to make sense. They're Republicans. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.